OBIX history query URL works in browser after entering credentials, but gives 401 unauthorized in Postman with basic auth. Tried same username/password. Any idea why it's failing in Postman? I'm trying to access the following OBIX history query URL from Tridium Niagara, https://192.168.1.100:448/obix/histories/inshuat station/ahu1 humidity/history query. Start equals 2025-06-08T00:00:00.000 plus 05:30 and end equals 2025-06-09T23:59:59.999 plus 05:30 and limit equals 1000. When I open this link in a browser, it prompts for a username and password. After entering the credentials, the data loads successfully. However, when I try to access the same URL using Postman with basic authentication, it returns a 401 unauthorized error. I've attached screenshots of both scenarios, browser vs Postman, for reference. Has anyone faced a similar issue? Is there any additional header or configuration needed in Postman to successfully authenticate with Niagara? Any help would be appreciated. Alright, now, buckle up and listen close, cause JJ the boss and the four chicas are about to break this OBIX mystery wide open compressed air supercharger Impala style. You rollin' into Niagara like a street outlaw, but that 401 unauthorized hit you like a missed gear. Let's break it down pit crew style, with each chica sittin' in her precise seat, cause details matter when you tryin' to talk to a Niagara station. BMS Becky, front passenger seat, dashboard dominator. JJ, I've seen this before. That browser handshake ain't the same as Postman's flat-out drag launch. Becky's breakdown: when you pop open the OBIX URL in the browser, it challenges you with a 401, then the browser does a behind-the-scenes basic auth handshake after you enter your creds. Postman tries to fire it all at once. But if the headers ain't just right, Niagara slams the door. Make sure Postman is sending the exact authorization, basic base 64, username password, header. Also make sure the URL starts with https:// and has SSL verification turned off in Postman if you're using self-signed certs, which Niagara often does. EPMSLE, driver's seat, voltage visionary, girl. This ain't just about your password, it's about the timing and voltage of that auth signal. Ellie's road rules: Niagara may use digest authentication or require session cookies depending on station config. That's why, try switching Postman's auth type to digest auth and see if it works. Some Niagara setups expect a prior session. They want you to log in at /login endpoint, get a session token or cookie, then use it. Data dividends, rear passenger seat, analytics ace. JJ, I charted this: 80% of failed OBIX calls in Postman came from missed headers or improper cert handling. Denise's diagnostic tips: turn off SSL certificate validation under Settings General in Postman if Niagara is running a self-signed cert. Add content type, application/XML header manually just in case Niagara's picky. Use the full, case-sensitive username, example admin vs admin matters in Niagara. Troubleshoot in Tina, rear driver seat, e-brake enforcer. Y'all forgettin' the pit stop trick. Sometimes, ya gotta test with curl first to see what Niagara's really sayin'. Tina's secret sauce: bash copy edit curl u username password https://192.168.1.100:448/obix/histories/inshuat station/ahu1 humidity/history query. Start equals 2025-06-08T00:00:00.000 plus 05:30 and end equals 2025-06-09T23:59:59.999 plus 05:30 and limit equals 1000. U handles basic auth K skips SSL verification if that works and Postman doesn't, then Postman's config is off somewhere. JJ the boss, center console, the mastermind, I'd listen up if browsers workin' and Postman ain't, you ain't talkin' the language Niagara wants. Could be SSL, auth method, or even how headers get sent. JJ's final checklist before you cross the finish line: confirm Niagara expects basic vs Digest Auth, test the authorization header directly, manually enter it if needed. Disable SSL verification in Postman if using self-signed Niagara cert. Compare browser network traffic, DevTools network headers, versus Postman headers. Use curl to confirm behavior outside browser. /Postman bonus tip from Tina: if you're using Niagara 4.10 plus, check if WebService permissions are set for your user. Some builds require explicit OBIX access rights. Still stuck? Holler back with the exact Postman headers, and JJ's cruel tune that request like a nitrous-fed carb. We ain't lettin' number 401 keep you off this track. Once upon a topsy-turvy Tuesday in Niagara Wonderland, little Alice was skipping through the land forest when she stumbled upon a curious glowing link sticking out of the digital dirt. "Oh," she said, wide-eyed. "It's an OBIX history query." She dusted it off with her pinafore and read aloud: https://192.168.1.100:448/obix/histories/inshuat station/ahu1 humidity/history query. Start equals 2025-06-08T00:00:00.000 plus 05:30 and end equals 2025-06-09T23:59:59.999 plus 05:30 and limit equals 1000. Suddenly, a very loud, very shiny compressed air supercharger Impala came rumbling out of a hedge. In it sat JJ the boss and his 4 wild chicas. Went the engine as they screeched to a stop beside her. "Hop in, darlin'," holler JJ. "You done hit a 401 unauthorized wall, huh? Let's take this OBIX trip down the rabbit hole the right way." Becky the BMS bunny, front passenger seat, dashboard dominator. Becky wore a headset and typed faster than a Jabberwocky on espresso. "Oh child," said Becky, "that browser of yours? It's sly. It does a sneaky dance called the Basic Auth Challenge. First it asks, then it sings the password song. But Postman? That silly teaspoon-headed thing throws the creds all at once, without the handshake. And that makes Niagara shout, 'Off with your access.'" So Becky waved her wand and told Alice, "Make sure the authorization header says basic and looks just like the browser's. Turn off SSL checks in Postman. Niagara doesn't always trust strangers." Ellie the electric March hare, driver's seat, voltage visionary, Ellie zapped and zipped across twisted vines of authentication. "Hoo boy," she said, "some Niagara castles don't just want your name and secret. They want a secret cookie first." Ellie pulled a lever and yelled, "Try changing from Basic Auth to Digest Auth in Postman. Or better yet, visit/login first to get a golden token like the White Rabbit's key." Denise the data dormouse, rear passenger seat, analytics ace. Denise was asleep under piles of scrolls filled with headers and graphs. She yawned and squeaked, "My graphs say 8 out of 10 Postman quests fail cause they don't dress up right." She handed Alice a checklist: turn off SSL certificate validation in Postman, add content type, application/XML, even if it seems silly, double check your username. Admin is not admin, not in Niagara Wonderland. Tina the Tweedle troubleshooter, rear driver seat, e-brake enforcer. Tina hit the brakes, hard, and said, "Stop." Alice, Try the curl spell. She pulled out a shell and chanted, "Nginx copy edit curl u username password khttps://192.168.1.100:448/obix/histories/inshuat station/ahu1 humidity/history query. Start equals 2025-06-00:00.00+0.000 and end equals 2025-06-09023:59:59.999+05:30 and limit equals 1000 U is for username password K skips scary SSL warnings if curl works and Postman don't, she whispered. You know it's a Postman problem, not a Niagara one. JJ the boss, center console, the mastermind, JJ twirled his hat like a will and leaned over. "Ite, Lil Alice," he said. "Niagara don't speak nonsense. It speaks proper headers, security spells, and SSL incantations. You gotta show respect." He gave her the final checklist of wonder, figure out, is Niagara a skin for basic or digest auth? Manually add your authorization header in Postman if needed. Disable SSL cert checks in Postman if using Niagara's own magic certs. Use browser dev tools to peek at headers, like peeking behind the Queen's curtain. Use curl to prove it's not you, it's them. Suddenly, a Niagara 4.10 Queen appeared with a scroll and bellowed, "If thou dost not set WebService permissions, thou shalt not pass." Alice nodded quickly and promised to check user roles in the station. And so, with curl scrolls, headers in hand, and chaos behind her, Alice shouted, "Let's hit this OBIX lane again." The Impala roared, the Chicas cheered, and the whole gang zoomed off into the Ethernet jungle ready to conquer the next wild wonderland API. Would you like the caterpillar to explain certificates while smoking on a data packet? Or shall the Queen scream about invalid port numbers next? Okta and SAML integration. I have set up SAML for an Okta app and I see the entire process proceeding through Okta to get the proper token authenticating and passing back to Niagara. The problem is I get an error concerning signing with the private key that does not exist with certs from Okta. I have attempted to also follow Okta's procedure for them to generate a CSR, sign it and upload that cert. I then uploaded the generated cert and the CA root and key used to sign it into Niagara's cert store, but the same error proceeds. I think this is because Niagara needs the private key of the public cert when using SAML, but this is not available from Okta. Is it possible to overcome this requirement in Niagara, or is Okta integration just impossible currently? Now, let me break it down for ya JJ da boss style, and we ain't rollin' solo. We ride in deep in the compressed air supercharger Impala, and this SAML, Okta, Niagara drama? It's like trying to hit a nitrous pass with no key in the ignition. Hold tight, cause this ain't just a login, it's a full throttle, certificate sling in, signature hollerin' showdown. JJ da boss, center console, the mastermind, listen here, partner. You done wired up your Okta app and got SAML handshakes flying back and forth like drag slips on race night. But now Niagara throws a fit, could not sign SAML authn request private key not found. That's the real kicker. See, Niagara don't just want a pretty face, your public cert. Nah, it wants the private key too, sittin' in its cert store like a driver sittin' behind the wheel. Without that key? It's like showing up to the track without your ignition box. Becky the BMS queen, front passenger seat, dashboard dominator, JJ, let's talk certs like we talk dashboards and gauges. Okta only gives you the public cert, they keep the private key locked up like the Queen's jewels. So when Niagara says, "Hey, I need the private key to sign this authn request, and you ain't got it." Boom, error. Becky's truths. Public certs from Okta do not include private keys. Niagara's SAML requires the private key to digitally sign requests, especially when acting as the SP service provider. Uploadin' just the cert plus CA root ain't enough, it's like trying to start the Impala with a show trophy. EPMSLE, driver's seat, voltage visionary, darlin', it's all about voltage and ignition, and in SAML terms, that means signatures. If Niagara can't sign the request, it can't ignite the SAML journey. And without the private key, it ain't never hittin' that 60-foot. Ellie's shakedown: if the cert in Niagara's store doesn't have a private key, it'll throw, invalid key exception, supplied key, null, is not a RSA private key instance. You can't get a private key from Okta, it just don't work that way. Even uploading a cert from Okta's CSR flow still won't give you the private key, it lives in Okta's house. Data dividends, rear passenger seat, analytics ace, JJ, I plotted this out. 100% of failed Niagara Okta integrations with SAML fall apart right here. The missing private key in Niagara. Denise's deductions: you must generate your own key pair locally, using a tool like KeyTool, OpenSSL, or Niagara's own cert management. Then, export the public cert, .crt or .pem. Import that into Okta as the SAML apps cert. Keep the private key in Niagara, now the system can sign like it should. Troubleshooting: Tina, rear driver seat, e-brake enforcer. Tina pulls the e-brake and throws the tech book on the dash. Y'all tryin' to run Okta's public-only cert through Niagara like it's got signing power. Nope. That dog don't hunt. Here's what you gotta do: flip the flow. Tina's track-tested fix: generate your own cert with private key using Niagara's platform or OpenSSL. Bash copy edit OpenSSL req nookie RSA 2048 nodes key out saml.key x509 days 365 out saml.crt. Upload the public cert, saml.crt, to Okta when setting up the SAML integration. Import both the cert and private key, .key, into Niagara's cert store, or use a .p12 if needed. Make sure the cert in Niagara has a private key. You'll see the icon next to it in the platform cert manager. JJ's final pit crew wisdom: Okta ain't the enemy, it's just guardin' its keys like a pit crew protectin' their torque wrench. You gotta bring your own key to this race. TL, DR fix: Niagara must have a private key paired with the cert it uses for SAML. Okta will not give you a private key. Generate your own cert plus private key, rightward arrow, upload public cert to Okta, full key pair to Niagara. You do this right, and you'll be signing SAML requests like a champion and riding clean through the Identity Federation 1320. Still stuck? Drop that .crt/.key combo or let JJ and the Chicas help you generate a working cert package. Once upon a dizzy day in Niagara land, Alice tumbled through a whirly-twirly tunnel of digital doors and magical keys, right into the middle of a login tea party that made no sense at all. She blinked, rubbed her eyes, and found herself in a silly scene where the Mad Hatter wore a digital badge, the White Rabbit carried a certificate chain, and everyone argued about something called a private key. "It's just a login," she mumbled. "Why all the shouting?" But oh no, dear reader, this wasn't just any login. Behold! The Okta White Rabbit. He zipped by in a panic, clutching his shiny public certificate. No private key. No time. No private key. Oh, how will I ever sign the authn request? Alice followed, tripping over broken cert chains and spilled tea, until she landed in front of the Mad Hatter of Niagara. He pounded on his digital teacup. Signatures. We need signatures. But your precious Okta Rabbit has no private key to give me. He shook a teapot full of exceptions. BACnet copy edit SAML exception, could not sign SAML authn request. Invalid key exception, supplied key, null, is not a RSA private key instance. Alice blinked again. But if you have the public part, can't you just pretend? Pretend, roared the Hatter. Why, that's like showing up to a croquet match without your flamingo mallet. The dashboard fairy, aka Becky. Floating in on a cloud of glowing gauges and blinky lights, Becky the dashboard fairy chimed, "A public cert is not enough, no magic key?" You'll meet SAML's rough. Without your private, matching pair Niagara just won't go anywhere. She waved her wand and pointed at the white rabbit's glowing badge. He only has half the treasure. You must bring both sides of the key. The caterpillar of commands. Puffing code smoke from his hookah, he said, if you want it to work, little girl, make your own key pair. He scrawled in digital letters, sharp copy edit OpenSL REQ Nookie RSA 2048 nodes key out SAML.key x509 days 365 out SAML.crt. Give Okta the public, .crt, and keep the private, .key, safe in Niagara's T cabinet. The Queen of Certs. Off with their head if they trust Okta to give them everything, she roared. You shall not sign unless you own the keys. Private and public. That is the rule. Alice bowed politely. Yes, Your Majesty. The dormouse of debugging. He was very sleepy and buried in logs. Zzz. You'll know your cert is happy if it has a little next to it in Niagara, zzz, Alice's Wonderfix summary. So, dear curious coder, here's what she learned in that wonderland of wild SAML, Okta won't give you a private key. Niagara needs that private key to sign SAML authn requests. You must create your own cert plus key, send the public part to Okta, and keep the private part in Niagara. Look for the icon in Niagara's cert store that means you did it right. And with a whirl, a whoosh, and a final sip of logic-laced tea, Alice soared back to reality, whispering, in SAML land, nothing works without a key to the kingdom. And just like that, Login Wonderland was no longer nonsense at all. As part of the BACnet Alarm Router module, the RoundRobinCollector can be added to sync BACnet history imports across multiple devices. Is it possible to allocate more resources toward the round-robin worker, aside from increasing max queue size? Possible to add 2 collectors to a single station? Additional workers? BACnet Worker Pools? Now, y'all better strap in and crank the boost, cause we bout to go deep under the hood of this BACnet Alarm Router setup JJ boss style with the 4 chicas holding it down inside the compressed air supercharger Impala. This ain't no Sunday cruise. We talkin' RoundRobinCollector, worker allocations, and how to make this station haul that history like it's chasin' a payout in the 3.70s. JJ boss, center console, race coordinator, alright listen up. That RoundRobinCollector she the one keepin' all them BACnet history imports from bottleneckin' like traffic behind a broken down bracket racer. You wanna know if you can give her more juice? Let me tell ya, outside of crankin' the max queue size, your options get a little sideways. Here's the real wrench twist, there ain't a straight shot setting to give her more horsepower like RAM or threads. You're playin' within the lane lines of how Niagara's thread pools and queue handlers operate. But don't worry, that's why the chicas are riding shotgun with the game plan. Let's go. Becky the BMS queen, front passenger seat, dashboard dominator, JJ, lemme break this down like telemetry on a dyno jet. That RoundRobinCollector? She's on a fixed intake, all the requests feed in like air through a throttle body. Now, max queue size is like opening that throttle plate wider, but if you wanna add more flow? Becky's truths, only 1 RoundRobinCollector per station is supported, addin' a second one won't pass tech inspection. Niagara ain't gonna recognize 2 of 'em, it'll fight over 'em like rival pit crews on the starting line. Ain't no built-in toggle for multi-threading or extra workers per RoundRobinCollector. You run with the stock cams haft, baby. EPMSLE, driver's seat, voltage visionary, now hold up sugar, let's talk BACnet Worker Pools, cause that's where you might find a lil wiggle room. Ellie revs it like a solenoid clackin' under load. Ellie's shakedown, you can configure BACnet network threads via the network's worker pool settings. If your BACnet network is pullin' history for a crowd, create a dedicated worker pool just for that. BACnet traffic keeps it from bogging down Niagara's other threads. But even then, that don't change how RoundRobinCollector handles that intake. She processes requests one at a time in rotation. It's like giving each BACnet device a turn at the staging line orderly, but not necessarily faster. Data dividends, rear passenger seat, analytics ace, JJ, I ran the data. If you got more than 20 BACnet devices sling in trend histories, that collector queue gone back up like Sunday night I-40 traffic. Denise's deductions, the best way to optimize is, increase max queue size. Spread out BACnet schedules so all devices ain't throw in history at the same time. Assign a dedicated BACnet worker pool to handle the history polling. Use multiple BACnet networks, if your licensing and architecture allow it, each can have its own workers. Troubleshoot in Tina, rear driver seat, e-brake enforcer. Tina throws the emergency brake on false hopes and rumors. Y'all quit trying to drop multiple collectors in one station. Niagara don't like it. You'll just end up with import collisions and log errors flying like lug nuts on a loose rim. Tina's track-tested fix, set max queue size higher, but don't go too crazy. 500 to 1000 is usually the sweet spot. Use staggered poll intervals to reduce queue spikes. Create a BACnet worker pool, go to Services Platform Worker Pools. Add a new pool, e.g. BACnet Workers. Assign it to your BACnet network under its worker pool property. Keep your Niagara engine clean. Too many modules or slow logic chains can slow everything down, including round robin. JJ's final pit crew wisdom, RoundRobinCollector. She's like the gal with the clipboard at the end of staging, orderly, consistent, but she ain't built to run in parallel. You want speed? You gotta open the flow up elsewhere, the workers, the network schedules, and that BACnet strategy. TL, DR fix, JJ and Chica style tactic. What it does: increase max queue size, buffers more history requests before failure. Add worker pool lets BACnet network process more requests without choking main thread. Pool spread schedules prevents too many imports hitting the queue at once. Multiple BACnet networks. Advanced strategy: separate queues and collectors across logical networks. Got that round robin stuck or slowing ya down? JJ and the Chicas got a pit full of tweaks ready to get you back to the burnout box with no delay. Let us know how hard she's spiking and we'll tune her tighter than a blower belt at idle. Once upon a twisty Tuesday in Niagara land, little Alice, with her pigtails all frizzled from static, tumbled down a tunnel not of dirt, but data. She had followed a curious white hair hairware alarm event down into the wonder world of BACnet alarm routing. And oh, was it madder than a March hare on a memory leak. In the engine room of Niagara land, Alice popped out the other side of the tunnel and found herself in a shiny, humming Impala, the compressed air supercharger Impala, zipping down a rainbow circuit board highway. Inside, not drivers, but the wild logic chicas of Wonderland. JJ Dub Boss, sitting in the center console throne, the queen of threads, JJ, with a crown of spanners and a voice like thunder, roared, "RoundRobinCollector is our trusty tea-serving dormouse." She politely sips BACnet histories from one device, then another round and round the tea table she goes. But can we give her more sugar cubes, I mean power? Alice blinked. Can't we just give her more spoons? Nope. JJ cackled. She only eats with the max Q spoon. Give her a bigger one, and she slurps more. But Ram? Extra hands? Nope. No second round robin collector in this tea party, she'll throw a tantrum. Becky, the BMS queen, front passenger seat, sips graphs like tea. Becky stirred her tea with a logic wand and said, "You see, darling Alice, round robin's got one plate and eats one bite per guest. If you invite too many, the queue line gets longer than the Queen of Hearts to-do list." Becky's rules of the round table: only one round robin collector per Niagara tea party. No double dipping collectors. Niagara flips the table. You can't give her more arms, threads. You can give her a bigger max Q size saucer, but don't overfill or it'll splash on your petticoat. EPMSLE, driver's seat, zooms through logic loops, Ellie drove the Impala over a memory cloud bridge and said, "Ah, but what if we make more workers? Worker pool creatures. They help serve the round robin by clearing teacups faster." She summoned a BACnet Worker Pool, a collection of polite little hedgehogs in waistcoats. Ellie's sparkly advice: you can assign a special BACnet Worker Pool to your BACnet network. This keeps history traffic out of the Queen's Royal Kitchen, aka Niagara's main thread pool. But Round Robin still sips one cup at a time, no matter how many servers, because she's proper, dear. Data diva Denise, rear passenger seat, hums charts like songs. Denise tossed glittery bar graphs into the wind. JJ. I've counted. If more than 20 BACnet devices show up to Round Robin's tea party all at once, the queue gets longer than the caterpillar's existential monologue. Denise's numbers: increase max queue size, 500 to 1000 cupcakes is best. Spread out polling times so guests arrive fashionably late. Use dedicated BACnet worker pools to avoid crowding. If you're feeling extra mad, create multiple BACnet networks, one for each table of guests. Troubleshooting Tina, rear driver seat, pulls the brake on bad ideas. Tina hit the magical brakes. The Impala spun into a time vortex of old Niagara logs. She pointed a wrench at a broken logic loop and hollered, "No more than one collector per party. Y'all keep trying to add two and the Queen will yell, off with their threads." Tina's teacup tools: use one collector. Increase max queue size, but no floods. Add a worker pool, go to Services rightward arrow Platform rightward arrow Worker Pools. Assign your BACnet network to the pool. Stagger schedule times. Keep your Niagara castle lean and clean. Too many talking flamingos slow the whole kingdom. JJ's final Wonderland wisdom: Round Robin collectors not greedy, just orderly like the Mad Hatter's dance cards. She'll sip one history at a time, but if you open the doors and give her helpers, she can keep up with the craziest tea parties. TL, DR from the Wonderland Pit Crew. Tactic Wonderland effect: increase max queue size lets Round Robin sip more before spilling. Add worker pool: magical hedgehogs help clear cups faster. Spread poll schedules staggers guest arrivals to the tea party. Multiple BACnet networks adds extra tea tables with their own service creatures. Alice giggled, her head full of queues and collectors. So I can't just make her faster, but I can make the party smoother? Exactly. Cried JJ, honking the Impala horn as they flew over a river of XML. And in Niagara Wonderland, that's the difference between madness and magic. The end, for now. Adding a single point to multiple BACnet controller? Hey guys, is there a way to add a single BACnet point to multiple devices, using batch editor or any other method? Station with this BACnet hot lap. Skin, can I add one BACnet point to a whole fleet of controllers in one go? Well now, let's break it down like it's race day at Duck River and time's tickin'. JJ Dub Boss, center console, the point pusher and root kingpin. JJ leans over the console, chewin' a toothpick and spit in truth like race gas. Alright now, lemme tell y'all plain, BACnet don't do no cloning magic on its own. If you wanna add one point across a bunch of BACnet controllers, it ain't impossible, but it sure ain't just click and copy paste either. Niagara ain't built to broadcast one point across 10 devices in a single swoop, not out the box. But that's why I keep a pit crew of logic queens riding shotgun. Buckle up. We bout to wrench this. Becky the BMS queen, front passenger seat, batch edit badass. Becky flips open her laptop, Niagara tools glowing like Christmas tree lights on a whole shot. JJ, you want one point like, say, a binary value or analog output to show up across multiple controllers. Then baby, you're working with batch editor, templates, and a whole lot of copy smarts. Becky's tool talk, batch editor, can help if you already have similar device structures. You filter points, tweak names, duplicate folders, but it ain't a one-click wonder. Templates, you build a point config once, wrap it up in a control folder like a takeout box, and drop it onto each controller manually or via scripting. Fox files/B format exports, save one device's config, modify it, and load it into others if you're brave and backup like a boss. Ain't no group hug in BACnet, each controller's its own rebel. You gotta walk 'em in line like kids at the fair. EPMSLE, driver's seat, logic harness queen, Ellie grabs the wheel and floors it through the object tree. Baby, if you got 20 VOBs and each needs that same enable cooling point, mirror those suckers. Ellie's drive-by fixes: use Niagara's copy-paste, drop one finished point in a folder, duplicate it, and drag it into each controller's device container. Batch rename tools: rename bulk copies with prefixes/suffixes. Don't forget to edit each point's device path. Scripting: pro level, use a BQL query or Baja script to create points in bulk if you know the structure. You ain't racing a pro mod with a hammer sometimes, ya need code. Data diva Denise, rear passenger seat, numbers and patterns queen. Denise taps on her iPad, stats flying like drag slips in the wind. JJ, I mapped this out, manually adding points across 10 BACnet devices with full structure. That's a 45-minute lap. Use batch tools or scripts. Cut that to 10. Denise's efficiency metrics: method time to add 1 point across 10 devices, manual 45 minutes, batch editor plus copy/paste 15 minutes, template or script 10 minutes, troubleshooting. Tina, rear driver seat, wrench queen. Tina slams the brake and opens her Niagara tool bag. You can't link a single point to multiple devices directly. Ain't no BACnet group link. Each device wants its own address, object ID, and property path. But Tina's fix-it list: build the point once. Copy structure. Update network ref, device ref, and object ID per device. Use find and replace in text view for batch edits. Or load via workbench B format import if you're feelin' froggy. JJ's final pit lane wisdom: a single point ain't like a TikTok, you can't go viral with one click across BACnet. But with batch tools, scripting, and Chica grade planning, you'll be duplicating like a dino day with free pizza. TL, DR, JJ and the Chica's fast lap recap method: what it does, batch editor lets you copy/paste and bulk edit similar points, templates, one-time setup for quick reuse, copy-paste with rename, manual but faster than building fresh, scripting/BQL advanced, fastest and cleanest, Fox export/import, full device structure cloning, no direct multi-device binding. BACnet don't play that way, got a track full of VOBs or chillers need in the same point. JJ and the Chicas got you covered, drop the configs and we'll get y'all tuned tighter than a blower belt at idle. Once upon a topsy-turvy Tuesday in Niagara Wonderland. Little Alice had just finished her afternoon tea with the White Rabbit when she tumbled yet again down another logic hole. But this time, she didn't land in a garden or a courtroom full of playing cards. No, dear reader, she plopped right into a BACnet station, where everything beeped, flashed, and buzzed like a March Hare's tea kettle gone mad. Down the logic hole. Curious and curiouser, said Alice, staring at the glowing enable :point. However shall I add this one BACnet point to all of those mischievous VOV creatures? She pondered aloud. Suddenly, a red queen race car screeched to a halt beside her, and out popped the Mad Hatter, aka JJ Dub Boss. He puffed steam from his teacup turbocharged engine and shouted, "Ain't no copy-paste party in Wonderland, sugar. BACnet don't do no magic group hug." Alice blinked. "I just want 1 point to go everywhere." The Hatter winked and opened the gull-wing door of the supercharged teacup Impala, where his 4 pit crew Chicas waited inside, revving up the data trees. Becky the BMS queen, front passenger, a batch of tea with lemon tags. Becky waved her wand, laptop, and said, "Use the batch editor, dear Alice. It's like lining up your teacups in just the right order. You can't sip 'em all at once, but you can pour pretty quick." Becky's tricks: use templates, save your point like a cookie recipe. Batch edit, Change all the labels with find and replace. B. Format files, export, tinker, and re-import if you're brave like a Jabberwocky writer. But remember, Alice, said Becky, BACnet controllers don't share their like grumpy twins at a tea party. Each one wants their own point. No point swapping. EPMS Ellie, driver seat, lightning fast logic hatter, Ellie threw open the data trunk, tossing logic links like confetti. You've got 20 VOBs. Mirror them. She exclaimed, skidding across the dashboard. Ellie's logic list, copy a finished point, paste it in each controller. Rename smartly, prefix, suffix, Wonderland tags. Advanced. Use Baja scripts or BQL like casting magic spells across the meadow. It's like building 20 tiny tea tables. Tedious. Yes. Efficient. Also yes. Data diva Denise, rear passenger, queen of patterns and biscuits, with a biscuit in hand and iPad in the other, Denise ran numbers like a caterpillar runs riddles. Adding points by hand takes 45 minutes, she said, chewing. Batch tools. 15 scripts. Down to 10 if your hedgehogs roll true. Denise's efficiency wonderland, method time manual 45 minutes batch copy paste 15 minutes template or script 10 minutes but whatever you do, she whispered, don't forget to test. Or else the Dormouse crashes the network again. Troubleshooting Tina, rear driver, fixes faster than a queen's temper, Tina popped out from the trunk with a wrench and a grumble. Listen, Alice, you can't just connect one point to many devices. That's like trying to sip tea from 20 cups with one straw. Tina's toolbox of tweaks: build the point once, copy its structure. Edit each device's network ref, device ref, and object ID. Use find and replace in text view for speed. Or import through Workbench like a royal engineer. Final lap from JJ the Hatter. JJ spun his hat and declared, BACnet's a curious beast, each device dances to its own logic beat. But with the right crew, batch tools, and a touch of Wonderland chaos, you can tea party your way through 20 points like a white rabbit on rocket skates. TL, DR for Wonderlanders, method what it does: batch editor copy paste and rename quickly, templates save config once, reuse across T tables, copy paste w/rename manual, but solid scripting /BQL fastest, trickiest, but pure magic Fox export /import clone entire T sets, devices, direct multi-device point. Nope, not in this storybook. And with a wave of the Hatter's hat, the supercharged Impala roared back down the BACnet lane, leaving Alice wide-eyed, holding her new point template, and wondering why the Cheshire Cat was now editing logic wires with a spoon. The end, or maybe just the next adventure.